Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to read Jonah 1 to 4, Micah 1 to 2, Proverbs 3, and Psalm 40. Let's get started. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and call out against it, for the evil rose up before me. But Jonah rose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down into it, ready to go with them to Tarshish, far away from the presence of the Lord. And the Lord hurled a great wind upon the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship threatened to break up. And the mariners were afraid, and each cried out to his God. And they hurled the cargo that was in the ship into the sea to lighten it for them. But Jonah had gone down into the inner part of the sea and laid down, and was fast asleep. So the captain came and said, What do you mean, you sleeper? Arise, call out to your God. Perhaps the God will give a thought to us, that we may not perish. And they said to one another, Come, let us cast lots, that we may know on whose account this evil has come upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. Then they said to him, Tell us on whose account this evil has come upon us. What is your occupation? And where do you come from? What is your country? And what people are you? And of what people are you? And he said to them, I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. And the men were exceedingly afraid, and said to him, What is this that you have done? For the men knew that he was fleeing from the presence of the Lord, because he had told them. And they said to him, What shall we do to you, that the sea may quiet down for us? For the sea grew more and more tempestuous. And he said to them, Pick me up and hurl me into the sea. The sea will quiet down for you. For I know it is because of me that this great tempest will come upon you. Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to get back to dry land, but they could not, for the sea grew more and more tempestuous against it. Therefore they called out to the Lord, Let us not perish for this man's life, and lay not on us innocent blood. For you, O Lord, had done as it pleased you. So they picked up Jonah and hurled him into the sea. And the sea ceased as from its raging. And the men feared the Lord exceedingly. And they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows. And the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. And Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from the belly of the fish, saying, I called out to the Lord out of my distress, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. And you cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas. And the floods surrounded me. All your waves and your billows have passed over me. And I say, I am driven away from your sight. And yet I shall again look upon your holy temple. The waters closed in over me to take my life. The deep surrounded me. Weeds were wrapped about my head at the roots of the mountains. I went down to the land, whose bars closed upon me full. Yet he brought out my life from the pit, and I rolled my gum. When my life was free, fainting away, I remembered the Lord. And my prayer came to you, into your holy temple. Those who pay regard to vain idols forsake their hope of steadfast love. Now I, with a voice of thanksgiving, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will pay. Salvation belongs to the Lord. And the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah out upon the dry land. And the word of the Lord came to Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and call out against it the message that I tell you. So Jonah arose and went to Nineveh, according to the word of the Lord. Now Nineveh was an exceedingly great city, 3 days' journey in breadth. Jonah began to go into the sea, going a day's journey, and he called out, Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. And the people of Nineveh believed God. They called for a fast and put on sackcloth, from the greatest of them to the least of them. And the people reached the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne, removed his robe, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. And he issued a proclamation and published through Nineveh. And he decreed to the king and his nobles, Let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock taste anything. Let them not feed or drink water. Let man and beast be covered with sackcloth, and let them call out mightily to God. Let everyone turn from his evil way, and from the violence that is in his hand. Who knows? God may turn around and turn from his fierce anger, so that we may not perish. And God saw what they did, how they turned from their evil way. God relented of the disaster that he had said he would do to them, and he did not do. So it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he was angry. And I prayed to the Lord and said, Lord, is this not what I said when I was yet in my country? That is why I made haste to flee to Tarshish, for I knew that you are a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love, and relenting from disaster. Therefore now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. And the Lord said, How do you do well to be angry? Jonah went out of the city and sat to the east of the city and made a booth for himself there. He sat under it in the shade till he should see what would become of the sea. And the Lord God appointed a plant and made it come up over Jonah, that it might be a shade over his head, to save him from his discomfort. So Jonah was exceedingly glad because of the plant. When dawn came up the next day, God appointed a worm that attacked the plant, so that it withered. When the sun rose, God appointed a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on the head of Jonah, so that he was faint. And he asked that he might die, and said, Is it better for me to die? Is it better for me to die than to live? And God said to Jonah, Do you do well to be angry for the plant? And he said, Yes, I do well to be angry enough to die. And the Lord said, You pity the plant for which you do not live, nor did you make it grow, which came into being in a night and perished in a night. And should not I pity Nineveh, that great city, in which there are more than 120,000 persons, who do not know their right hand from their left, and know so much cattle? Micah 1-2. The word of the Lord that came to Micah from Morsheth in the days of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, in which he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. Hear, you peoples, all of you, pay attention to earth and all that is in it, and let the Lord God be a witness against you, the Lord from his holy temple. For behold, the Lord is coming out of his place, and you will come down and tread upon the high places of the earth, and the mountains will melt under him, and the valleys will split open, like wax before a fire. Like wax before the fire, like waters poured down a steep place. All this is for the transgression of Jacob, and for the sins of the house of Israel. What is the transgression of Jacob? Is it not Samaria? And what is the high places of Judah? Is it not Jerusalem? Therefore I will make Samaria a heap in the open country, a place for planting vineyards, and I will pour down her stones into the valley and uncover her foundations. And all her carved images shall be beaten to pieces, and all her wages shall be gone fire, and all idols are laid waste. For from the free of the prostitute she got, and to the free of the prostitute they shall return. And this I will lament and wail, and I will go stripped and naked, and I will make lamentation like the jackals, and moaning like the ostriches. For the wind is incurable, and it is come to Judah. It is reached to the gate of my people, and to Jerusalem. Tell no in Gath, weep no at all. In Beth Apra, roll yourselves in the dust, and pass on your way, inhabitants of Shaphir, in nakedness and shame. The inhabitants of Zion, and do not come out. The lamentation of Beth Ezel shall take away from you its standing place. No, the inhabitants of Mouth wait anxiously for good, because disasters come down from the Lord to the gates of Jerusalem. Harness the steeds to the chariots, inhabitants of Lachish. It was the beginning of sin to the daughter of Zion, wherein you have found the transgressions of Israel. Therefore you shall give parting gifts to Morsheth Gath. The houses of Achzir shall be a deceitful thing to the kings of Israel. I will again be a conqueror to you, inhabitants of Nasha. The glory of Israel shall come to the dawn. Make yourselves bold and cut off your hair. And for the children of your delight, make yourself as bold as the eagle. They shall go into you from you into exile. Woe to those who devise wickedness and work evil on their beds. And their morning dawn they perform, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and seize them, and houses, and take them away. And they oppress a man in his house, a man in his inheritance. Therefore thus says the Lord, behold, against this family I am devising disaster, which you cannot remove your necks. And you shall not walk haughtily, and it will be a time of disaster. And that day they shall take up a taunt song against you, and moan bitterly, and say, We are utterly ruined. He changes the portion of my people, how he removes it from me to an apostate. He lots afterwards. And therefore you have none to cast the line by the lot in the assembly of the Lord. Do not preach, thus they preach. One should not preach of such things. Disgrace will not overtake us. Should this be said, O house of Jacob, has the Lord grown impatient? Are these his deeds? Do not my words do good to him who walks uprightly? That lately my people have risen up as an enemy. You strip the rich road from those who pass by trustingly. There is no thought of war. Where the women of my people drove out from their delightful houses. From their young children you take away my splendor forever. Arise and go, for this is no place to rest. And it was the uncleanness that destroys with a grievous destruction. And again, for the man should go about and utter wind and lies, saying, I will preach to you of wine and strong drink. He would be the preacher of this for this people. I will surely assemble all of you, O Jacob, and will gather the remnant of Israel. I will set them together like sheep in a fold. Like a flock in its pasture, like a noisy multitude of men. He opens the breach, goes up before them, and they break through and pass the gate, going out by it. Their king passes on before them, the Lord at their head. Proverbs 3. My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. With length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you. Let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. You know your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord, and turn away from evil. And it will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. Honor the Lord with your wealth, and with the first fruits of all your produce. And your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine. And my son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, or be weary of his reproof. The Lord reproves him whom he loves. As a father, the son in whom he delights. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than gain from silver, and a profit is better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, in her left hand are riches and honor. All her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a true wife to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast are called blessed. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth, by understanding he established the heavens. By his knowledge the deeps broke open, and the clouds dropped down the dew. My son, do not lose sight of these. They keep sound wisdom and discretion, and there will be life for your soul, and adornment for your neck. And you walk on your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. And when you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. And you will not be afraid of sudden terror or of the ruin of the wicked when it comes. The Lord will be your confidence, and will keep your foot from being caught. Do not withhold good from those whom it is due. When it is in your house of joy, do not say to your neighbor, go and come again. Tomorrow I'll give it when you have it with you. Do not plan evil against your neighbor who dwells trustingly beside you. Do not contend with a man for no reason when he has done you no harm. Do not envy a man of violence, and do not choose any of his ways. The devious person is an abomination to the Lord, but the upright are in his confidence. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, and he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. Towards the scorners he is scornful, and to the humble he gives favour. The wise will inherit honour, but fools get disgrace. Psalm 40. I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined to me and heard my cry. He drew me up from the pit of destruction, out of the miry bowl, and set my feet upon a rock, making my steps secure. He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. And he will see and fear, and put their trust in the Lord. Blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust, who does not turn to the proud, those who go astray after a lie. You have multiplied, O Lord my God, your wondrous deeds and your thoughts toward us. None can compare with you. I will proclaim and tell of them. Yet they are more than can be told. In sacrifice and offering you have not delighted, but you have given me an open ear. Burnt offering and a sin offering that you have not required. And he said, Behold, I have come, and the scroll of the book is written of me. I delight to do your will, O my God. Your law is within my heart. I have told the gladness of deliverance in the great congregation. Behold, I have not restrained my lips, as you know, O Lord. I have not hidden your deliverance within my heart. I have spoken of your faithfulness and your salvation. I have not concealed your steadfast love and your faithfulness from the great congregation. As for you, O Lord, you will not restrain your mercy from me. Your steadfast love and your faithfulness will never preserve me. For evils have encompassed me beyond number. My iniquities have overtaken me, and I cannot see. They are more than the hairs of my head. My heart fails me. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Let those be put to shame and disappointed altogether. You seek to start your way in my life. Let those be turned back and brought to dishonor who delight in my head. Let those be abhorred because of their shame, who say to me, Aha, aha. Let may all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. May those who love your salvation say continually, Praise the Lord. As for me, I am poor and needy, but the Lord takes hold of me. Now you are my help and my deliverer. Do not delay, O my God. Now thus done, I shall know to the Lord's prayer. Please bow your hands. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as you raise to forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.